Welcome to my fight show. I'm Mika Frankl. Hope you're all having a wonderful Tuesday evening. Got a big show in store for everybody. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Of course, you're seeing those socials. You know those. If you're on the Instagram, it's at CageMinds_CSN. And that's the same way you can find us on Threads, X, and TikTok. YouTube and the Facebook is the same at Cage Minds Combat Sports News. We appreciate you guys for liking each one of the social medias. And with this video, you like, you share it, you subscribe to if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. We appreciate those. It's a little bit of effort that goes a whole long way. If you're able to like it, you share it, you subscribe, you're telling your friends about it, and you are helping expand what we are doing here at Cage Minds. It is also easy to show your support in that little way: the like, the share, and the subscribe. Get it, got it, bueno. Not what I'm telling you guys to do with the social. It is the next installment from our friends at Duke City Championship Wrestling, El Rey Theater, March 28th. Tickets are on sale right now at holdmyticket.com to get out and support the stars of tomorrow's pro wrestling. Because I'm telling you, a lot of the talent that you're seeing here is going to be a part of the NWA, the main roster, NWA, here very soon. So that is ultra exciting. These people that have worked, I'm telling you, so dang hard to get to this spot. They've earned it, and you can see them and many more great people like Pretty City Express, Hobo Hank, and I think even Fallen Gray is getting a WWE tryout or WWE ID tryout. So you literally go to the El Rey Theater once a month and you can see the future stars of pro wrestling on display here. Love to support the local people and the local talent. Interviews are energized by W. You go over there, it's 10% off with the checkout code Cage Minds. It's how I stay so energized. Got my bottle right here, all shaken up, some energy for the evening. This evening, we got a great guest list planned here in just a couple minutes. We are going to be joined by Jimmy Dukes. We're talking about the Southwest MMA scene. There's a whole ton of promotions that have been popping up between El Paso, Las Cruces, Albuquerque, and it's great to see that scene getting back on track once again. We're going to talk to Jimmy Dukes about what he's seeing at Battle at the Basin, CFFC, Kingdom Fight League, and Empire Fight Series. There are so many promotions out there. It's great to see the Southwest on fire once again. We're going to get his thoughts on a bunch of those promotions. We have the about to make his pro debut, Emilio Marquez, joining us. Taylor Starling is expected to pop by. I'm not sure if she's going to be able to. We have some time marked away for Jose Luis Sanchez, local boxer, went all the way out to Michigan. The unbeaten Justin Lacey Pierce, he fights all the way to a draw. And if you know boxing, math, and economics, Jose Luis then probably should have earned himself a decision, not a split decision victory. That's what it means when you actually earn a draw on the road. So we're going to get to talk with him. Looking forward to it and really excited for that one. And I also think we're going to get to be joined for the first time by Christopher DeSantiago. He's another up-and-coming media member who I've got to rub elbows with while in Las Vegas. And he is also kind of taking a look in the bare knuckle world. He, I'm sure, has an opinion about the news that we had today. And it's a place I want to start before Jimmy joins us. There was some really interesting news today that almost knocked my beard out of place. And it's news that we covered over on MMA After Hours. The newest episode is up. It's episode 338. We do cover Ronda Rousey, Gina Carano. It is not a fable. It is not happening in a movie. It is happening in an MMA fight. First thing this morning, that was the news. We got our reactions right out there right away. What's happening at heavyweight? We lay out the storylines and who we feel are the favorites heading in to UFC Houston this weekend, and possibly what fights are flying under the radar. So that's MMA After Hours. Check that out. Pro Wrestling After Hours will be up tomorrow. AEW had a grand slam of a week, and the road to WrestleMania is stopping at the Elimination Chamber. The beard is still in place. It was beaten in submission thanks to Barbers R Us. The Beard Bomb is available at barbergavesfades.net. Barber Gabe's Fades, the physical building, 100 Course Boulevard Northwest, Lobo Plaza, Suite 107 here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. The shop with the fundamentals on lock. Barber Gabe's Fade. Book online when you're there to get your beard bomb. Walk-ins are welcome. It's the place to go to make sure your look is a knockout. This past Saturday, ESPN Radio 1017, The Team, Cage Minds Fight Hour. I was joined by Rocky Ramirez as we took a trip down memory lane for a Jackson's original, made it all the way to Bellator, and he is the owner-operator of the West Side Power Gym. This week, we're going to be joined in studio by a boxing historian, the owner of the Bob Foster Museum, Ben Wilson, scheduled to join me this week. Here on today's show, we have Jimmy Dukes, Emilio Marquez, Taylor Starling, Jose Luis Sanchez, all booked, not to mention last-minute guest who's agreed to join us, Christopher de Santiago. I look forward to all these conversations. The news of the day, though, Ronda Rousey, Gina Carano, May 16th, Intuit Dome, Inglewood, California, under the banner of MVP Promotions on Netflix. Rousey says that this fight had been discussed in the air between the two parties for the last year. And other news outlets, I believe it starts with Ariel Helwani, speculating that this was a fight that the UFC was in talks of doing 12 years ago before those negotiations dissolved. That one is kind of shocking. I know it had been rumored, but to say it's really happening, I don't think that we really thought that one was going to happen, especially when you talk about the comments that Rousey has made about CTE. It's been a while since Gina Carano, 17 years, 15 years since we even expected her to have a fight. We're going to gauge some reactions here in just a little bit about that news, get some other people's thoughts on it. We also have news of Jorge Masvidal, game-bred bare knuckle, new life to the promotion, 2 tournaments planned, kicking off April 10th in the Dominican Republic. We're talking about 2 16-man tournaments, one at heavyweight and one at lightweight. So far, we do have some names on the heavyweight side, and there are a couple intriguing ones. Anthony Lionheart Smith, no longer retired. Once upon a time, he was a middleweight, going to jump up to heavyweight for an opportunity at $500,000, and it's going to come with bare knuckle MMA. Apparently, his first round matchup is going to come against a familiar to us name. He's done bare knuckle. He's done boxing. He's been in the UFC. Chase Sherman, Glory vet and BK bare knuckle vet, Guto Innocence, taking on, this name might shock you, his name was just in the news for a 3-year suspension. Muhammad Usman, released from the UFC and jumping head on into this tournament. I'm guessing something to do with the Dominican Republic will secure his entry into the first round. Second round apparently is planned for May 1st in Miami. I'm not sure if that commission is going to be as nice to play with. UFC PFL vet Alexander Romanov, PFL former champion Bruno Capoloza, and UFC vet Todd Duffy among the early names added to this field, game bred bare knuckle is back. Bare knuckle MMA, what I find intriguing about it is bare knuckle MMA is a lot closer of a representative to MMA than what boxing to bare knuckle boxing looks like. You take off the gloves and you totally change the game of boxing to bare knuckle boxing. But taking off the gloves doesn't fully change the game of MMA. It enhances the opportunity for submissions from the grapplers. It does make each strike that much more consequential, but they are a lot more similar to each other than saying bare knuckle boxing to your traditional boxing. Intrigued by the first 8 names. It's going to be 16 men in each tournament. We have some PFL news. The former LFA women's flyweight champion Shannon Clark has signed with the PFL, and so has the former LFA interim women's flyweight champion Cheyenne Bowers. Both of them adding to the depths at 125. We know that PFL, they are making a concerted effort to try to put opposition in front of Dakota Ditcheva to keep her entertained. A former Bellator fighter, James Gallagher, we know the Irishman, quite popular. He'll be making his Ryzen debut, Ryzen Landmark 13, April 12th. He'll take on Kazumasa Majima, another Bellator disciple with Patchy Mix, with Patricio Pitbull, once again going over to Ryzen. It seems to be the alternative for the Bellator guys versus sticking with the PFL, which makes the thought process that there have been communications between the PFL and Ryzen to work together that much more intriguing, where it seems like Ryzen has been the direction that a lot of these Bellator vets have wanted to go. And so I'm not sure if they would see the sense it makes to work with the PFL. And I don't know how beneficial it really was for Bellator when they did the crossover with Ryzen. Our first guest is getting ready. We're going to be talking about the Southwest MMA scene. It's bustling, it's growing, it's got a bunch of new players, promotions, Nowhere to Run wants to get involved. We have Empire, we have CFC, we just had Battle at the Basin. Whenever Jimmy Dukes gives me a thumbs up, we're going to bring him on here in a moment, and maybe we'll even ask him about Gina Carano and Ronda Rousey, because again, it just kind of blew me away today that we got that news. Let's bring Jimmy Dukes on in. Our first guest is ready.
Hey, what's up, brother? How are you?
Hey, welcome back to my fight show. How you doing?
Good, man. Thanks for having me on, man. Anytime Mika hits me up, I'm like, hey, man, let's talk some fights. Let's go.
Right. I intended to bring you on. Let's just start talking about, wow, you're busy. You're here, there, you're there. Las Cruces, Alamogordo, the entire Southwest is busy. But then Bleacher Report wakes me up this morning that they have a press release from MVP Promotions and Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano. I need your first thought.
Bro, when I saw that, I was like, I was trying to read in between the lines. It's all, this is for the MMA fans, right? And I'm like, okay, is this a boxing fight? But they're trying to promote it as like these two women fighting, right? Finally. And then I double checked. I was like, oh, damn, it is an MMA fight. Yeah. So I used to follow Gina back before, back in the days in the, was it Strike Force? You know what I mean? So that matchup never happened. You know what I mean? Because with Gina, she split from, combat sports and started acting, and then Ronda had her rise and came down. So the fact that this loops back around, like, I'm like, all right, set it up. Why not? What do you think about it?
Way too late. I've heard already speculation that there were talks this fight could happen 12 years ago. That sounds amazing. Right now at 39 and 43 years old, and collectively haven't either one really thought about fighting and in so many years, it feels like a cash grab. And depending on what they put around it, it should be entertaining. But the fan in me, the journalist in me is like, okay, I'm ready for any spectacle. The fan in me is like, I don't know if I buy this.
Yeah, I feel you. I have some friends that we always kind of shoot the breeze. I have some close friends that I'm like, We jokingly always said, set up the tents. You know what I mean? Set up the tents. I'm showing up. I mean, part of the fight game, unfortunately, nowadays, it's entertainment. You know what I mean? And people want to see certain fights that shoulda, coulda, woulda, but I mean, they're happening now. People are gonna watch, so I mean, set it up.
Set it up, set it up. What they've been doing here locally recently is setting up a lot of fights. You were there in Alamogordo. What was your thoughts on what I'm guessing might be have been your first trip to Alamogordo?
Yeah, man. So I've been fortunate to know a lot of guys from that area that I've been covering in promotions and, that I've been to. So the fact that they had something set up, it had been over 10 years. I know you talked to Anthony and I sat and watched that too. It was cool that for you guys to catch up like that. But yeah, man, they had a great event. They had 13 fights, 2 pros out of those 13, some great finishes, some great talent. So it was just for me as a fight fan first, like for a lot of people that know me or don't know me, I'm a fight fan first, and then I cover the sport. So seeing that there's more people getting opportunities, more fights, I'm happy for.
Always happy to see that and see some of the, like we said, underserved areas get to give that audience the entertainment that we're getting, because it's quite a trek sometimes to get up to one of the bigger cities, and not to mention it's hard for a desert dynasty to always have to play the road team. I mean, it's nice to get them some home games.
Yeah, there's a lot of rural little cities and towns in New Mexico that I'm not the best with geography, but a lot of them are all driving distance, and there's smaller schools and smaller, academies that have some guys that could fight. They might not be known, but the fact that there's another promotion that's kind of catering to more this area over here in between, it's awesome.
I think I've been to small events in Socorro, Belen, Clovis, Hobbs, and not saying you're all small, just the smaller cities, guys.
Yeah.
Exactly, all the way down to Cruces and going to the convention center rather than the Pan Am for the
Mm-hmm.
American Fight League. So it's good though to see now how many promotions are popping up. And I was trying to keep count of it because I'm thinking we have the one we just mentioned, which I wanted to get a little more deep into that event here in a moment. But then you even have a CFC, you have Empire, you have Kingdom, we have Fight World, we have APFC out here, and even talks that Nowhere to Run is going to try to expand from kickboxing into the MMA world. Am I missing any you could think of?
Man, that was it. You nailed it. Other than, I mean, as far as like MMA stuff, then yeah, that I'm aware of, yes, absolutely, man. That they've all been popping up lately, and they're all doing well in their own ways, and I love to see that.
Right. It's the health. It shows that there's a healthy entity and community here in combat sports, that we're able to have so many promotions, so many little towns, and it's spreading out the love, and that everyone is able to stay active. That's all great to see. Now you're there, Alamogordo. What was that atmosphere like? Because for them, it was the first time in a while.
Yeah, man, it was 10 years from my understanding. And, I was able to go out there to cover it. They had me and my homeboy Jake go up there. We covered the event content wise. And the fact that it was in such a cool little area up there, they was at part of the facility, I guess is part of a college, the auditorium it was perfect. I mean, it was full for 10 years. I went outside, I was recording, like the line around the corner, everybody was doing what they were supposed to do. All the fighters showed up on time. Everybody like that was working the door. That, I mean, everything ran smooth. So for them to have that as a first experience, I'm glad that happened and everything went well. And I hope it springboards to more.
And I believe split decision, main event, Richard Jennings versus Ricky Maynez. That one I heard was a barn burner.
Man, back and forth, man. And I've got to know these guys personally over the past, year and a half that I've been, covering the sport. I've known Ricky for so long, man. That guy is a walking inspiration. Jennings is a calm, collective killer too. So I saw them. They had both losses before this one. So when they fought, I'm all about the story. I tell people like, hey, man, these guys are coming off quick losses. They want to get back in there and win. And these guys been on a parallel, track in their career. They've known each other, but they've never fought. I mean, they've known each other, but never had to. But now they cross paths. and it was back and forth. It was split. You know what I mean? It was split. And like I said, I'm not a judge, but it was close.
They really do have similar paths that the pro careers have kind of worked out in that similar fashion. And both of them came into the pros after amateur careers that had them with ridiculously high expectations.
Yeah, man. So for them to fight and then also to showcase the skill level of pros that we have in New Mexico in the Southwest. There's the fact that we're starting to see a little bit more pro fights at these heavy amateur fights. It's awesome.
Also, I had him on last week. Angel Gallegos hits
Woo!
a calf slicer. I've seen the video now. I'm like, gosh, I've seen tutorials that look like that one.
Yeah, man. Like everybody thought he was like me. I've seen him fight. A lot of people have seen him fight. We all kind of knew what we wanted to see and expect. He was going to go out there and hit this guy, and we were going to see what was going to happen. But it turned in kind of a grappling match, and then he got tangled up, and there he is. The guy that's knocked 3 guys out in a row gets a submission. You know what I mean? So holy smokes.
When I had Anthony on here last week, first thing he had to get to was, I think it was the first 5 fights go nuts, and they're all knockouts.
Dude, and here's the other thing too, that I'm embedded more and more into the amateur area, and I'm trying to do my best to get to know a lot of people. There's a lot of guys that are like 0-0 or 0-1 that are like really high skilled fighters that are just starting to come out. So the fact that I got to see a lot of guys making their debuts or their second match, man, it's awesome because the level of skill is so high with these amateur guys. A lot of these guys are all fighting each other as their first 1 or 2 fights, and they're high caliber fighters out of Albuquerque, out of El Paso. And then for me to watch it as a fan and then be cage side taking pictures, it was awesome to see all those fights rattle off in a row that they were finishes.
As you're there taking the photos, doing the video, I know your mind's racing, you're doing 18 things at one time. Are you able to take in enough to say, this guy impressed me and I'm excited to see him again?
Yeah, I mean, full disclosure, like I always tell a lot of guys, like I'm looking and taking pictures or videoing, so I'm kind of watching the fight, but I get the benefit to watch the fight after because I get the video. I mean, one of the first guys that right off my brain is Dante Morales. Man, that kid is good, man. He's good, young. He's 1-1 now out of Wild West and Cruces. Diego Rivera out of Warriors Lair. He won at KFL, got a TKO in the first round, went to Alamogordo after 2 weeks of that fight and got a second win, another TKO. So it was exciting to see him fight. The Ramos kid with the body kicks out of Warriors Lair I'm excited to see again. So a lot of fresh talent of guys in this area that I'm excited to continue to see. And another guy off the top of I think it was fight of the night was Isaiah Solaita and Elijah Quinn. They were beating the crap out of each other for 3 rounds. And those 2 guys are kind of like veteran amateur guys. And that was another one that popped up. But yeah, great card.
I think we need to encourage Soleita to kind of hold a couple of those back until he turns pro. He's putting out those fight of the nights in a fashion where he could pump the gas and be a little more economical to amateurs right now.
Yeah, I mean, and that's another take that I always like talking to coaches and promoters and like other people. I've heard different things of like, hey, as long as he's not physically getting hurt, keep going. And then other times it's kind of like, yeah, you kind of pull back, but he's healthy. Every time I've talked to him, he's lost, but not like gotten his ass beat, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? He's lost fights and it's not like he's ever been injured, but yeah, for 19 years old and having like 12 fights, that's kind of wild.
19 years old, 12 fights, and I've seen at least 3 or 4 of them, and I think they've all been close to fight of the night. So I'm like, hi, dude, that's a bit too
Anytime,
exciting.
anywhere. That's his new nickname. They've been calling him. I've been saying it for over a year, like jokingly, and they've been saying it, but now it's Mr. Anytime, Anywhere. Hey, because that kid will fight, and that's all that matters. That's what we want to see as fans, as promoters, as coaches. That we want to see guys that want to go out there, right?
You definitely have to have that courage. Like I said, I'm thinking longevity. And
yeah,
fights is a lot,
bro. I totally agree with what you're saying, man. But as long as they're healthy, you guys stay healthy out there. Don't tear yourself up, please. I mean, we love covering you guys and talking about the fights, but please take care of yourself.
So what's next on the calendar? I believe it's March 14th. It's the Pan Am Center. It's Empire Promotions, Reign of Champions. I already had Angel on here, so he was mentioning a title fight, and him and Alexis Ortiz, that is stupid good for amateurs.
Damn, man, that card is gonna be amazing. I'm gonna be out there commentating for Empire. It's going to be another great event. That is another promotion, how you were saying, that it's gradually getting traction, and they're doing a good job of like securing the like Las Cruces area. So they're able to pull from, Juarez, El Paso, Cruces, Alamogordo, and all the way around Albuquerque. And every show that they've put on has gotten better every single time, just like all the other promotions. But this one's like, as of right now, we got at least 20 fights right now locked in for the 14th. That's gonna be wild. There's 20 fights on the board right now that I know of, and once we get down and chop it down and trim, I'm sure we'll have at least 16 or 18 fights for that day, and I'm excited to be out there as well.
Okay, you look at that card. I think I've already seen 2 amateur title fights, but what is standing out to you, or as a broadcaster, like how far out are you gonna start digging into it and really getting your facts together?
I know Angel and Alexis. You've seen Alexis fight, right?
Yes. I was there at his APFC fight.
So check that out. Now that we got Angel rolling on the floor, you know what I mean? Because like, hey man, everybody knows Alexis he's a great submission guy. Everybody knows it's not, but he's been working on his hands and his kicks. I've been around him. Like he's throwing head kicks and stuff like that. But the fact that we saw Angel defend takedowns and finish on the floor, that fight's going to be way more interesting now. Way more interesting.
Alexis, also, you add in, that was some thudding ground and pound in his last victory when I got to see him at APFC. The first 2 were the rear naked chokes. And now, like you said, you would think the striking advantage goes in Angel's direction. And we wonder, how far is the gap in the grappling game from the esteem of what Ortiz has been able to accomplish already to, well, Gallegos has a couple tricks up his sleeve, obviously.
Yeah, man. And those heavy hands, bro. That changes the tide of any fight that I personally see. Like I've seen guys that are skillful going in there, piecing somebody up, and they get tagged hard one good time. They're kind of like, oh, dang. You know what I mean? And Angel definitely has the skill and that power.
April 6th, back in El Paso, you get CFC 6, and I saw them announce their main event. Travis Ariallo has been on the radar, LFA, Fight World. I've been wondering where he had been, and he gets their opportunity to become the inaugural welterweight champion, taking on Ricardo Chavez, who I've heard is tough as nails.
Dude, Woody has over 50 fights. Like 50 fights, ranked like in the top 5 in Mexico for his weight class. He fought at CFC last. He fought at an overweight because it was a kind of a short notice. But the guy he fought, AJ Hodgkins, is an animal and had a tough time fighting him. But Woody on a full camp, I'm excited to see him go out there because he's been around. Like when I was seeing him fight, like he was defending takedowns, he was throwing punches. I mean, it was crazy to see a veteran like that fight. So on a full camp against this kid that you're saying, I'm excited for that as well.
So he took on AJ up at 85, and AJ is a freak athlete, guys.
Oh my God, bro.
Getting to interview him back in his amateur days once. And it seems like at that point, when he was trying to figure out how to put it all together, his actions have now caught up to the way he thought he was fighting in the gym back then.
Yeah, man, that goes back to the whole Southwest. There's a lot of great guys that I'm just starting to know about, so it's cool to see these guys. How you said, hey, you talked to him a while ago, and now he's a pro 3-0 or 2-0 or 3-0, if I'm not mistaken. So the fact that there's a lot of guys that are starting to get their shine in this area, it's amazing.
Is there any other fights so far between the Reign of Champions or the CFC 6 card that you're excited for that I didn't touch on yet?
Fight World and APFC.
I meant those other 2 events. We're going to get there.
Oh, yeah. Other than though, yeah. I mean, in my area, yeah, for sure. CFC, April 25th. Reign of Champions, the 14th. It's on my radar, obviously. But yeah, man, it's in Like Kingdom had a card recently. It was great, and Dynasty. So yeah, man.
Anything to talk about from the Kingdom card that really stood out?
That was another one, man. I think it was 13 bouts and 13 finishes. So shout out to Kingdom Fight League, man. They had some great guys out there fighting as well too. They had 2 jiu-jitsu matches, and man, Kingdom is doing well for themselves too, and giving guys opportunity to fight that are guys are 0-0, or guys that not affiliated with heavy gyms. So they're doing well is great as well. And for me to be their cage side, dude, it was finishes all night, legit fights, legit finishes. But yeah, man, I mean, all those events in this area have been great. But Fight World and APFC too, right? Coming up.
Fight World, our friends from Fight World. Now, we know Fight World, a unique promotion. Remember, they do Fight World in 2 different areas. We have Fight World in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and there's Fight World in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. March 21st, it's Fight World everywhere. You have Fight World 44 in the PA area, where you have a couple big show vets like Sean Santella versus Chris Johnson. And we're going to have Fight World 43 here, Albuquerque, at Revel. Velazzo Chavez, the first pro fight. Joseph Velazzo, San Antonio, Texas, a Texan that we've seen here in his amateur run, taking on Ozzy Chavez, longtime member of Fit NHB. And on the amateur side, Next Gen's Devin Gomez is facing Borg's Ezekiel Romero. And we know how energetic Ezekiel is.
Man, and he works hard too. Like, and that's the cool thing about Fight World. And now that I've been fortunate to shout out to them out there for having John Judy, man, always letting me in the door and stuff. But I'm able to see guys that I normally don't ever get to see. So I'm always excited to go and cover that, because I'm making it a point to, like, I want to know everybody that's doing awesome things in the combat sports world. There's a lot of fighters out there that we don't know about, and I want to let everybody know that there's some killers out there. So that Fight World card, they always have a great event, right?
Always a great event. Ozzy versus Joseph. Both guys are ridiculously aggressive. So that one is not making it to the final bell. And on the Ezekiel side, he's kind of promised that he doesn't want to see the judges' scorecards anymore after the split decision in his amateur title fight.
Yeah, and that's tough too. I mean, and that's part of the game, right? It doesn't always go your way, but we always like to see guys like, hey, how do you respond? I mean, it's cliche to say, but we see guys respond after a loss really well. So, we'll see what happens in that matchup, right?
Right. And looking forward to John Judy. I'm sure we're going to have more fight announcements here shortly from Fight World, as we're kind of getting in. We're closing in. We're past Valentine's Day, so it feels like the calendar is closing in on us, and we'll be looking at live and local fights before we know it. Mentioning that March 14th event, you'll be in Las Cruces. I'll be at Overtime Bar and Grill, because Nowhere to Run will be having their next amateur kickboxing event here in the Albuquerque area. That following weekend is our doubleheader. We're on the on the Saturday. On the 21st, you get Fight World, and then the 22nd, mentioned it, we have the APFC event, where the main event, at least that's how it's listed right now. Well, wait, they have it listed backwards actually on the website. Main event, Jalen Fuller, Christian Turner. So we get the defense of the welterweight title, where our striking friend here, Jalen, has turned in 2 submission of the year performances under APFC. And the co-main event is the rebooking of James Pleasant Emmanuel Sanchez, originally scheduled for APFC 21 until the medical emergency. Sideline Emmanuel, Jess Martinez jumps in nobly. We're going to run that one back. You have any thoughts on where we're going with those 2 title fights?
For sure that I could speak of Pleasant. He's out of El Paso, so he's a great pro, great guy. And the fact that he got an opportunity to showcase his skill on a bigger stage like that as a title fight, he also could have said, he took the fight too. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes people don't understand that guys, when, somebody gets cut from the fight, something happens, the guy can say no still. So the fact that he still said yes, to fight somebody who has nothing to lose, it's awesome. And for him to get that opportunity against the guy he was supposed to fight, I'm sure that the promotion wanted to make sure that everybody knew that, hey, we're going to redo that fight, right? And it's going to happen next month.
A 35 fight vet who used to compete in Bellator. It doesn't even have to be stated really to think just with those numbers how big of an opportunity this is for James Pleasant. This is that fight that gets the notoriety. Defeating Jess, who was coming off of a layoff, who did have a nice, shiny, unbeaten record. It helps, but you get this name, and that puts your name to that next level of prospects.
Absolutely, man. And they're putting on a lot of guys, the whole APFC amateur side that we know of. There's a lot of guys that are coming back from the last event, some guys that are getting a new opportunity. And when I see the amateur card, because that's what I know more, I'm getting excited because I see a lot of guys. I'm like, oh, damn, oh, shit, they're going to fight. So the whole amateur side is amazing to see, that the fact that they're bringing so many guys back.
Gabe Bencomo coming off of the big overhand right, taking on Roberto Valenzuela. That's going to be two powerful middleweights. And then the same thing when you say Jacob Sinasek versus Brendan Johnson. Oh, wait, it's three things. It's also there with Clint Whitmore versus Kashawn Randall.
Oh, man, that Whitmore guy is amazing, dog. He fought at KFL. Jesus Christ. Seeing that guy in person, bro, that guy is different. That guy is different, dude.
All three middleweight fights. It's almost like we have a unofficial kind of middleweight seating going on to see if we can get an amateur APFC title fight going down here, as they have announced we're going to be one of their hubs.
That's awesome. Yeah, because they're jumping back and forth from Milwaukee. Is that what they're doing? APFC?
Milwaukee. They also plan to go to the Washington DCW kind of Baltimore area, and then also coming back here to the Southwest. There's a lot of possibilities for where they're going to go, but it seems like when they come back to the Southwest, it's been a little more feasible here than going to Arizona, and we know Fury kind of already has Texas.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. It's kind of like, it's cool seeing it just from afar. From what I see, it's kind of like, hey, where could we find a hub that we can kind of have as a place that we always go to? And we all know that Albuquerque is a fight city. Like, that I've been around, and I've been around more. I know it's been a fight city. I've been following UFC forever. And El Paso, we've had a lot of fighting too. And now that I've been around more, I'm like, okay, like, this area does need like a bigger promotion like that makes sense, with names and stuff like that are carrying more heavy pro side, for people to like, hey, man, that's an opportunity. You fight at one of these around here, you might get a shot at APFC, because, I mean, if you're on APFC, you're on Fight Pass, right?
You get to that Fight Pass level, you're talking about the Furies, the APFC, the CFFC, and that's that catapult usually to the next level. LFA now on Vice, that's still one of the premier feeders. But when you get there, yeah, it's hitting another level, and it's just another step kind of up the podium, so to speak.
Absolutely, man. And it's cool seeing them to come back out here, and everybody's excited to have them. And they've been putting on great cards, and then they have all the cool UFC guys come out, and for the crowd, it seems like a great event, and then hopefully we keep having it more and more.
The meet and greets are an undersold genius move of what APFC has done, not just utilizing Anthony and Sergio and their guys, but as we've seen, bringing out a DJ, a Dustin Poirier, a Justin Gaethje. That extra fan interaction, I think, is a good little pull to just bring in the average fan, because you kind of need that niche. Last time Gable Stevenson was also that niche, but just it's an interesting additive to the marketing that I hadn't really seen anyone else doing.
Yeah, it's like, I tell a lot of the fighters too that it's a show, guys. It's entertaining. At some point, like, your fighting could only take you so far, but having people interested in wanting to see you, and the fact that APFC, like, I don't know anybody personally, but from what I see, like, they're making it a point to do all that extra stuff that they can, because you gotta build that following, right, Micah? You gotta have people excited. It doesn't matter who's on the card. We know APFC is coming. We're gonna go, and that's what seems like they're trying to build.
Right, you're starting to get that notoriety, and they're building. You've had Jalen getting his title, back-to-back fights. You've had James now, back-to-back opportunities on the card. Gabe Bencomo, like you said, I think Mike Mexell, Mark McDill. They're starting to get names that are familiar and keeping active. And I think that also helps to the fan base to connect to an athlete, seeing them and watching them grow. I think that was a big part of also what I saw here. I don't know if you ever got the chance. The Jackson's MMA series that turned into the Southwest MMA series was a large feeder at one point to building guys to get ready for that next level that we were talking about.
Yeah, and it seems like, you've been around Lager, and just from what I've seen, like the boom that I've seen in the past 2 years, and the quality of fighters, the quality of coaches, the quality of gyms and academies, it's really high. I mean, there's really good guys everywhere, and the fact that there's so many guys willing to try to get in this whole combat sports world and are striving for that, I think we're the benefactors. You know what I mean? Because if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be covering the sport. I say that all the time to the guys, like, hey, if it wasn't for you, man, I mean, I'd be creating other type of content, but I love covering combat sports.
Do you get the feeling? Do you feel that there's been almost a turn in the Las Cruces, the El Paso area with these now 3-4 promotions that have come up that are servicing down there, that combat sports almost feels reignited? Because the gyms have been there for a while, but I feel like having the promotions and getting the fights to be there locally helps build that environment.
Yeah, I do believe so. And like from getting to know the coaches and the promoters and the guys have been around for 10 plus years, man, they always credit, John Judy, like, hey, man, he's been doing it for so long. I said I wanted to do this. And, he gave me pointers and stuff. And these guys have like that lineage of being able to be around guys that are successful in different ways in the sport. So now all these guys that have their successful businesses and whatever are like, hey, let's go ahead and push this. And from what I know and from what I see from everybody, everybody's doing it for the right reasons, right? Not everybody's going to make $1 million, but everybody's wanting to run these promotions for all the right reasons. And the fighters and businesses and brands are starting to benefit because of that boom.
The point we're trying to get across, everybody, is that we're both happily excited for the future and the landscape that we have locally.
Absolutely, bro.
Like there's so many good fights that can be made. There's so many promotions that are working together, that are bringing in the audiences. And the healthier the ecosystem is, the healthier the community is, the more these fighters get to stay active, grow their skills. And maybe we'll get back to a day where it was the heyday of seeing the Jacksons, the Fit fighters, the Southwest fighters in these bigger platforms and in these title fights.
Yeah, and us for us too, man. I'm glad that we get to work together too. You know what I mean? Like we love covering the sport and talking about what everybody's got going on. So it's good for us too, right? I mean, I if I could do this all the time, I will, man. So the fact that we have so many events and we individually get to know a lot of the guys and talk to them and interview them and showcase what they got going on, it's a win-win for everybody.
Jimmy Dukes, were you able, you said you had a lot of content, a lot of video, a lot of photos. Were you able to get through a lot of it? Do you have your media put together here from the last couple events?
I do, man. I'm chopping away, man. Shout out to Kingdom that, when I was out there, I did all their finishes. Kingdom Fight League on their Instagram, all their, all the work is up there and the photos, all the guys that bought photos. And then obviously Alamogordo too, man. They had a great show, man. I've been rolling out all the interviews and talking about each fight, because another thing that I'm trying to do is every event that I go to, I want to do a recap, so I can get people more involved about with the fighters and, guys wanting to talk to us. I always say, hey, man, talk to Cage Minds. Like Mike is awesome. I mean, I feel like us collaborating within reason is awesome. It just grows the sport for everybody.
Trying to grow the sport, trying to support everybody. Kind of started with the crazy motto, every fight, every fighter. And then I never realized things like Power Slap, Bare Knuckle would come around and how many damn events I'd actually be trying to cover in one day.
Yeah, I think that's another thing too. Like for me, like I'm just going to stay in the Southwest for me personally, because like I really want to cover this area and I don't want to stretch myself too thin where like I don't even know guys in my own backyard. You know what I mean? I feel like there's enough for me to promote in this area and showcase all the skills of the promotions and the fighters, man. So yeah, because there's so much different content we could cover, right?
Any fighter, any grappler, any wrestler, anybody want to jump in on the show? The comments are open. We'll link
Yeah.
up if you want to.
Yeah, dude, we're here. Like I say this too, and I could see that from you real quick to give you your flowers. We're here for you guys. You know what I mean? We really are. Like, if you want to make this work and make it worthwhile, we want to talk to you guys. We don't want to pull teeth, but at the same time, like, we don't want to talk to the guy that doesn't want to do it either. We want to talk to the guys that want to talk about what they got going on, their fights, their journey, or anything positive that's related to the combat sports world.
Do the positivity, the journeys. You never know what you're going to stumble upon in a conversation with a fighter, what led them here, why they're here, how they're motivated. It can be inspiring to horrifying to it's interesting. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely agree. These girls and guys tick differently for sure. And I'm just happy to be along in the back to hang out with the camera and talk about the stories and stuff.
It was a pleasure once again to have you on my fight show, sir.
Yeah, real quick, man. I know you get the fades from him, but real quick, shout out to Ben Como, Gabe. Angel sent this down from at Alamogordo. It's the beard bomb. This shit is amazing, Gabe. Thank you, bro. Cherry smelling, it smells amazing. But yeah, great product. I just wanted to shout out Gabe real quick. He sent that down with Angel to Alamogordo for me. So shout out, Gabe. Thank you, brother.
Barbers R Us beard balm, cherry scented. You get it at barbergabesfades.net.
Look at it. It popped up right there. Look at the little.
It's the bomb that put my beard in the submission hold
exactly.
tonight.
That's what I'm saying. Like, hey, man, it keeps it shaped. Okay. I don't have like a crazy beard, but it just keeps it good. But thank you for having me on. Man. You take care, brother.
You have a good one. As quick as Jimmy Dukes leaves the stage, we're getting crazy here on the first hour. We're going to dive head on into another interview. We had his teammate on last week. The coaches are like, oh my gosh, you got to talk to Emilio. So not putting big expectations on him or any pressure right here. His pro debut is coming up at XKO in Dallas. It's the week after we have APFC here in town, a week after his teammate fights. Emilio Marquez, welcome to the show.
Hey, how's it going, man? Thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Just, living life here.
Living life and apparently really busy. A lot of living. I asked the coaches just for a couple things, and they're like, oh, great father, great student, churchgoer, man of God. Did we throw in there military vet, high school wrestling coach? Well, he's doing this whole amateur MMA thing, 6-0 at that with 3 finishes by knockout. And you made your debut, it looks like, according to Tapology, with a first round knockout. So there's a lot for us to get to, and thank you for your service.
Oh, I appreciate it, man. Thank you. Let's get into it, man.
Where is an appropriate starting place with all that we threw out there, with all that is Emilio?
I couldn't. I mean, I would say maybe my military career. We could start there, because I would say that's probably where I took initiative into starting to fight. So we can start there, man.
Okay, was this a decision made in high school? Was this jumping from high school right into the military? Is that how it played out?
Not necessarily. I mean, I took a few years. I went to college actually, right out of high school, and I wasn't a very good student back then. So I messed around, and then I ended up in the military somehow. So when I was about 20, I joined, and it was just a decision that I wanted to get out of the place, I was living here in Cruces, and just spread my wings, and discover some new things. And I for sure did join in the military. So.
And where does the military take you? Where around the world did you end up, or around the country?
So I've just been deployed once. I was deployed to Iraq. So I've seen that side of the world. And then, just plenty of training rotations around the country, seeing different places and having fun, man. It's really what I learned from going to the military and going to these different places.
Where did you get stationed?
I was in Fort Carson. Sorry, I should have started with that. But yeah, I was in Fort Carson. I was stationed at in Colorado Springs. So and that's why I say that it kind of ignited my fight journey there, because it's pretty popular in that area, you know, fighting out there. So
The Olympic Training Center not far away. We got many, if not many popular MMA teams. So like, what is the spark that captivates you towards the combat sports?
you know, just my will to like want to be competitive. It came from when I was younger. I mean, I wrestled my whole life, so that's something I mentioned previously in many other podcasts that I were in. And yeah, I wrestled, and then while not wrestling, I joined the military, and just that competitive spark in the military to be better and the best person that I could be there. Um, that curiosity transferred over to fighting and doing jujitsu and stuff. So, you know, I was kind of bored, not necessarily bored, but just wanted a new hobby, you know, wanted to jump back into another athletic sport while I was in the army, you know, as athletic and, you know, body labor intensive it is. I wanted to go and put another thing to beat myself up and do, and it was happened to be, well, it started with jiu-jitsu, and then it turned into MMA. I took my first fight, and yeah, it took off from there. So
What was it? Was it just getting back to the physicality of the wrestling that made you jump in further? Was there a moment that you can think of where you really said, yeah, this is for me?
yeah, oh, you're good. It was more so the competitiveness, yeah. So like just seeing all the teammates that I had back then, you know, fight and the build up to the fight, you know, I was helping them. I was just mostly a wrestler, you know, a ground guy, until I met, you know, a few of my coaches out there in Colorado Springs again. But seeing the build up and then the hype and then the fight and then the come down from the fight, that was all just and it was so exciting to me, and I was like, damn man, I wanna feel that again, because it's similar to, you know, wrestling when you get ready for a tournament, anything, you know, you have that build up, that grind, and then you go and wrestle to leave it all out there. And I missed that. I was like, dude, I want to do this so bad, but you know, there's that little you know, doubt in my head where I was like, oh, what if I get beat up? What if I get, you know, all these things that come with it. But that also made it more exciting for me. And I kind of, I could say that I'm a goal getter, and I want to experience those things. I want to lose sometimes. It's weird to say. I want to meet that match to where I get beat up, you know, and I for sure had many days like that in my gym that we used to train in Colorado, and with all my teammates in Colorado. I've been beat up there, and it was just that hype again that made me want to fight and ignited that spark again. So
How long did you do the jujitsu before you jumped into the MMA? I got a feeling it wasn't long.
no, I think I did jiu-jitsu for maybe a year and a half, maybe less than that. And I transferred pretty well over just because I had such a strong base in wrestling, you know, and I noticed a lot of dudes do that. But I learned a lot of good jujitsu out there, and yeah, that's I maybe less than a year and a half, and I took my first fight.
So you got into it, and right away it threw you back to the same feelings you had in wrestling. And was it almost like, was it like putting on a warm jacket? Did it just fit right? Did it feel good, like you were meant to be there?
Oh yeah, dude. After my first fight, even my teammates back then, I was just like, dude, I'm addicted. Like, oh, I love this. And it's something about, you know, going in there and beating another man up. It's kind of, it's crazy to say, but it's, you know, that's how fighters are. That's the mentality we have. It's just, it's an awesome feeling to go do that. And you kind of feel like you're living, you know, it's awesome.
So was it that first fight, or were you committed before that, just with the jujitsu, the year and a half, and the getting ready, or was it that fight that kind of sold it for you?
So the fight sold it for me. The build up to it, and being able to grind with the teammates that I had, and the people that were in my life back then, it was it was a little bit of both, I would say, but the fight sold it for sure. Like that sealed the deal, and I was like, I want to keep doing this. I want to be somebody in this sport, you know, whether it's just to go pro or to be an elite pro fighter at the top in the top show, you know. I just kept striving, you know, one thing after the other, and so far I've been doing pretty good. So I'm gonna just keep doing what I'm doing.
As an amateur, you fought for some really good promotions in Colorado, some really solid competition. We now have the pro debut coming up for you as you've now returned here to home, returned to Las Cruces. Like, how big of a decision was that for you, having been stationed in Colorado, started the journey there, had success? Was it a big choice to come back home?
Yeah, definitely. It was a huge choice, but I don't regret it at all. I did move back for my family. You know, I wanted to be closer to home, especially because I started my own family, and you know, just having everybody here, it's a different feel. You know, I was more so alone over there with just friends and no family. So there's a bigger you know, bigger structure, bigger foundation down here that I have that also feels good. So, but it was a big decision, and but I'm making it work, man, and I'm just blessed to be able to continue to fight, you know, and do what I love. So.
Was this unexpected or a surprise for the family that you became a fighter? Could they see this coming?
No, they knew. They knew. You know, my immediate family, my mom, my brothers, they all knew. They knew I loved it. I talked about it all the time. Once I started, I was like, Mom, bro, like I want to be a freaking champ one day, you know. I want to be a pro. I want to be all these things, and they got annoyed of me, and but you know they see me doing it, and they're so proud of me. So I'm grateful for that as well.
6-0. What did you learn in the amateurs?
Oh, biggest thing I learned is how to stay calm, man. The first couple fights, first 2, 3 fights, I kind of learned how to, you know, maintain that composure fighting people. And I noticed that the first fight that I had, it was just go, go, go. And, you know, after that, I kind of took a step back, learned from the pros that I was training with, and I was like, damn, I was so tired, like within the first minute. And they were like, yeah, like you got to learn how to calm down. And you know, with the training that we were doing then and the training that I've done to this day, you know, I keep getting more and more composed. And that's probably the biggest thing, biggest takeaway that I've learned from coming from amateurs to pro, or even training with pros. You know, you just got to keep your composure in a lot of situations, and that alone could win you fights. Like I believe so. So.
It feels like as you grow and you get older, you kind of look back and you understand the reason why you did things. Now that you've went through the whole process and you've served the country, do you look back and understand a little bit more why that was the right path for you?
Um, Understand. Yeah. I mean, oh, my bad. Yeah, I mean, I understand it, but and then again, I believe, you know, that God has this path for us, you know, has this crazy path set out for you, and even though you don't know if it's the right path or the wrong path or whatever it is, you just got to keep your trust in him. Like, and even today, like I I continue to just keep trusting God, man. It's the hardest. Sometimes it's the hardest thing you can do as a person, and that's what He created us for. Like for us to trust Him and just live in His footsteps, and you know, continue to just be good people. And that's something that I've learned. Yes, from the path that I've been on is. I've been in highs, I've been in lows, I've been all around, dude. But I'm so grateful that it's led me to where I am today, and I'm so happy for it. So, something I just always keep in the back of my head is just to trust God and be grateful for the things that are right in front of you today, not what's like coming in the future or what happened to you in the past. Like you got to enjoy the things that you have today. So that's kind of my little idea on it. So.
Who you are today, why is MMA a big part of it? Why is it your goal? Why is it your focus?
The why is the biggest question. I love it, man. I can genuinely say that I love this sport. There's such a beauty in the combat world of MMA, any mixed martial art. Like it's so beautiful, man. And I just got done training at a boxing gym right now. I'm watching these guys spar. Right, it's really high levels uh, boxing fighters and boxers. Sorry, and just watching them, dude, is so mesmerizing. And it's like these dudes, the movement, the head movement, the perfect shots that they take, and that's just boxing. MMA is just like adding everything else in there that makes it that much more perfect, you know. And I'm truly in love with this sport, and I hope in hopes to be something great one day, you know. If not, then it's not my choice. I really believe that. So, but I'm gonna keep working hard, and as of right now, that's what I want to do. That's what I love to do. MMA is just it's a beautiful sport, and that's why I love it, man.
XKO pro debut. What's your first thoughts when you hear those words that you're ready to take this next step in the process?
XKO's. I mean, I'm blessed to be on their promotion. I'm ready to go to Dallas. You know, actually, this last fight that I had was on the East Coast. I haven't been in the East Coast in years, especially in Massachusetts where I was. And while being there and being able to, you know, travel around and go and experience new things, it was on another, um, you know, lesson of life that I took. I was like, dang, I can do this while fighting, you know, like doing something I love. So going to Dallas and going to XKO, it means a lot to me to be able to go out there and show my talents, my hard work, possibly, you know, knock someone out. In
Is that
front.
the goal?
Yeah, that's the goal. So, uh, go out there and just prove myself out there, and hopefully, you know, get some people to, you know, give me some respect, because that's what we look for in this sport is respect, and you know, and for the big fight. So, we'll see what happens.
What was the emotions like that first amateur fight? It's a first round knockout. I gotta think that this is meant to be. I'm doing this in every fight.
Yeah, yeah. It was surreal, man. I was like, damn, like it wasn't that hard, you know. But in reality, the hard part is the build up, like the training, all that hard stuff is past you, and then going in there and actually getting a knockout or TKO, whatever. It's a result of your hard work, and when you truly feel like you've worked hard enough to get there to earn that knockout, that TKO, it's not that big of a surprise, you know. Uh, so sometimes, you know, it doesn't hit you till after. Till you watch it after, you're like, oh shit, like, damn, I did that. Even my last fight, I was like, damn, that was pretty cool, man. Like, but I did train hard enough. I worked stuff. There's a reason why I'm able to do those things. So yeah, sometimes it's not that big of a surprise, but it is a crazy feeling for sure.
You've had the success as an amateur, you've had this maturation. Is it the right time now? Do you feel like you've learned enough, like the skills, like there's nothing else to accomplish? This is the right time to start the pro journey?
Um, yeah, I mean, I believe so. I trust my coaches. That's the biggest thing, you know. I for sure have doubt in my head. Everybody does, you know, about everything that they do. I still have a little bit of doubt on like, damn, am I a pro? Am I this and that? But then again, I look at my coaches, and if my coach, one of my coaches back in Colorado Springs, shout out Jeremy Kimball. He's probably one of my top mentors that I've had in this journey as well. Um, if he thinks I'm a pro, then I believe in myself that I'm a pro. You know, that's kind of what I based it on. And then training also with my training partner James, one of my training partners Isaiah Torres, pros, high level pros here. You know, being able to train with them and learn from those training sessions and getting beat up by them, dude. Like I want to get beat up by these dudes to know that I can hang in the pro levels, you know? Um, and just seeing those, that kind of builds my confidence in, okay, I do belong here, and I want to make something happen here. So yeah, trusting my coaches, trusting my teammates, that's what reassures me on on the pro level. So
I got to see Jeremy fight live in a couple promotions, and I think one time complimented him on a Cody Rhodes t-shirt while he was walking by me at a BKFC event.
yeah, he's a cool guy. He's for sure a crazy fighter, man, and I love him as a coach. So
What was that relationship like, having a guy that did fight some of the in the bigger promotions to learn from out of the gate?
honestly, to be completely honest with you, when I first met Jeremy, I didn't know anything about him. I didn't. I also was one of just like a mediocre MMA like enthusiast. You know, I'd watch MMA here and there. I didn't look too much back in the past, but once I looked him up and I was like, holy shit, like this dude's a badass. And I just sparred with him. I just trained with him and this and that. And then we built our relationship, so on and so forth. I continued to train with him. I continued to go with him and the crew, and all my boys back in Colorado Springs, and we just built that relationship together. And it's more like a brotherhood, man. And we become brothers. This little group of guys, me and him, but it is a cool feeling to know, like, see him fight even to this day when he still fights. It's the coolest feeling. Like, damn, that's my homie, you know, like I get to say that's my homie. So I'm proud of him, and he vice versa. He's so proud of us, and he loves his team and his boys. So
Cool guy to get to learn from, a lot of knowledge with all the promotions and all the fights that he's been a part of. So that's had to been a cool environment. Now you're in Cruces, you adjusted teams. How much was that transition? How did that affect you? And did you feel like it was a pretty smooth process?
oh, sorry, my bad, man. I'm sorry, I lost you the last 5 seconds. Can you?
Oh, just when you transition teams, what was that process like? Because moving and then moving teams is always something to get used to.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, we lost the sound.
Technical difficulties, the beauty of going live. Let's see. Can you hear me now?
Dang, I can't hear you, man.
Hello?
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 Host has muted you.
Well, we lost Emilio Marquez before we could get it out. I was just going to keep it rolling, asking him some questions for a couple more minutes. Actually, there he is. Let's see if we get the audio back.
All right. You got me?
Yeah, now we can hear you again.
My
I
bad,
just
dude.
asked the move, the transition. You've been through that now with teams. Was that a big transition for you?
Yeah, man. Yeah, along with the move, everything, it was a real stressful transition coming home. When I met Adi and my new teammate James, you know, I only knew Adi through social media, and he had known me, actually. Funny enough, he had known me through my older brother, and they grew up together. And he knew me when I was a little kid, and I never knew Adi. And so he hit me up on Instagram or Facebook, and he was like, dude, I want you to come train with us. Like, I got one of the top 55ers here in El Paso. He just kept hitting me up. But at that time, I was in the Army still, so I was in Colorado Springs and unsure if I was going to move back. So once I did make the move back, I was like, okay, I need a team. I need someone to go train with. Boom, hit up Audi. Went and trained there, and it was a home run from there, man. Like, I try to train here in Cruces a lot. I train with a couple gyms here, just some jiu-jitsu. There's not really too many MMA gyms. There's maybe one that I've been to, and they're pretty solid. But with a higher level of fighter, James is the number one fighter here in New Mexico, number 155er, number one in El Paso. You know, and yeah, just transitioning was stressful, but luckily and by God's grace, you know, Audi hit me up. I had a team, you know, and then we were making it work every week when I first moved back. So that's probably the coolest thing that happened. It was that easy. I was so stressed, but it happened. So
The pro debut is March 27th. The team said big expectations. They wanted me to get you on the show. They're really excited about you. How does that feel that they're that excited about you even?
I try to be as humble as possible, man. But you know, they have a right to be excited, especially because of how much hard work we put in, you know. They believe in me because we put in that work in the room and we work on every little thing. We're so tedious with everything. And just the hype with my amateur career, and everything else adding up, it's gonna be a good fight and it's gonna be a good pro debut for me. And I believe that as well. So it's just great to have that type of support behind me as well. Yeah.
Emilio Marquez, thanks for coming on my fight show.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, man. I appreciate you.
You have a good evening.
Yeah, take it easy.
Emilio makes his pro debut March 27th, XKO, 6-0 amateur. The team raving about his potential. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed hearing a little bit of his story. How, of course, like a wrestler, he got into MMA. It's the traditional roots. We do still have a couple more great guests coming on. Taylor Starling has an invite out there whenever she's ready. We also have Christopher de Santiago, incredible MMA media member, who's going to be joining us. I believe he's going to be promptu here in just a little bit. And not to mention Jose Luis Sanchez. We're awaiting him. So we still got 3 more guests coming up tonight on my fight show. This would be the place where we would take a commercial after going for an hour straight, but we still need to make those. So if you guys want to advertise your business, Robbie Ray Media can help construct the media that would be the commercial that would go in right here. Robbie Ray Images, great to capture your next event or occasion. Robbie there getting all of the photography done for us at Cage Minds when we're live at fights. Shout out also to the assistance always given by Franklin Romero, helping over at cageminds.com. You find MMA After Hours, Pro Wrestling After Hours over there. Cage Minds Fight Hour on ESPN Radio 1017 The Team every Saturday morning here locally. Episode this past weekend with Rocky Romero, a trip down memory lane. That episode will be getting up to YouTube and on the podcast shortly. We had some technical difficulties. We're a little bit delayed on getting that one up and shared across social media, but it will definitely be out. Again, like, share, subscribe. However you're watching this, that little bit of extra effort to expand our reach goes a long way, and I appreciate it greatly. This weekend, BKB joins the UFC with Saturday Night Fights. BKB, with some news this week, they will be making their Niagara debut for BKB 54 at Seneca Niagara Resort. Pound for pound, number 1 bare knuckle boxer in their rankings, LT Smash Nelson, 2-division champion, defending his middleweight title against Mark Tiffin. Jared Grant defending his lightweight title against John Bernard. Bernard just signed a contract extension with BKB. Those 2 bouts announced for BKB 54. Helen Peralta signs a contract extension. Mick Kelly from Bad to the Bone has now signed with the promotion. Tommy Turner signs an extension. Henry Corrales, Bellator vet, now under the umbrella. Jacqueline Catalina, Slap, PFL, and Invicta vet, now on the roster. Not to mention Keegan Vandermeer, BKFC vet. BKB with some exciting news and moves over the last week or so to 10 days. This week, they're back in the UK, the Indigo at the O2 in London for BKB 51, heavy lies the crown. Bridgerweight champion Marco Majek defends against the former heavyweight champion Ike Villanueva. Bare knuckle, belts don't shine, they weigh, and this one weighs as a big test. The champion walks in with the gold around his waist, the target on his back. He's calculating, cold, and clinical. He's proven to carry the crown, but across from him is going to be a man who doesn't respect the comfort. Ike Villanueva brings the pressure. He doesn't fade. He is all power. He doesn't ask for permission. He just wants to brawl. He's a former heavyweight champion in the promotion, coming down to 205 pounds. Look to see his dynamic punching power on display. Title eliminator in the co-main event. Before the crown is defended, maybe we get to decide who takes a shot at one as the number one ranked Sam McCall stands on the doorstep of a title shot. Technical, relentless, and battle tested. He takes on the number 3 ranked Martin Ruffle, who's awaited this moment. He knows that the opportunity won't come often to get a world title shot. This isn't about the gold. It's about the opportunity, the consequences for the future. It's going to be 2 big-time bouts. You get to watch that one on Vice TV here in America, BKB this weekend. You also have the UFC on Paramount. Last weekend, you had some huge highlights as Uriah Hall earns himself a light heavyweight title shot in karate combat with a spinning back kick to the liver. A la his Ultimate Fighter days, still showing he has that zest. Zuffa boxing, Umar Dazbekov with an uppercut for the ages, and Efe Njapa, a 3rd round knockdown, propels him to the 4th round TKO victory. So a couple little highlights from last weekend. If you were looking at combat sports where it was a light weekend, this weekend getting a little thicker, and we're about to have 9 weeks straight of the UFC. We still got about 3 guests lined up. Gonna take a real quick 90-second break, I believe. Well, let's actually give me 60 seconds. We'll be right back, everybody. You're watching My Fight Show. Quick minute break. We're back. I had to take a drink of water, catch my breath. The combat sports conversation has been fun, fast, and furious so far here on My Fight Show. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, jumping into the conversation. Huge shout out to Emilio Marquez. Again, pro debut coming up. Heck, Jimmy Dukes, huge shout out and appreciation to him jumping on the show, talking about how the Southwest fight scene is going. And here in 10 minutes at the bottom of the hour, Christopher DeSantiago will be joining us. He has been confirmed. Don't know if Taylor Starling is going to be able to make it. And we also had an open invitation that I think is being accepted actually right now by Jose Luis Sanchez. I see him coming in the conversation. And then it kind of, the video went away. We're going to give him a moment, but I think any second now we're going to have professional boxer Jose Luis Sanchez joining us next up on my fight show. Zuffa boxing with bare knuckle boxing, a lot of boxing going on. You guys want to jump in the conversation? I'm still waiting to really hear from the boxing fans what their feelings are about Zuffa, the weight classes, and their belt system, the new trajectory in boxing. Let's give this a try real quick. It looks like we do have, and actually, I think I might even change this up real quick as he's still trying. There was a visual, and then we lost the visual. And let's get a little boxing feeling in here. I think we got Jose Luis Sanchez coming. My fight show, lucky enough right now to welcome in Jose Luis Sanchez. We have some technical difficulties going on, so we can hear him, unfortunately not see him. So just wanted to real quick touch base with you. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me.
Man, pleasure always to talk to you. We know that the last couple years kind of been a few moments that you wanted to be able to change, and you made some big changes and came out with a great performance just a couple days ago in Michigan. How happy were you with your fight?
I was happy. I mean, I won the fight, but I was fighting in his hometown, so they did a draw. I mean, it's not bad. So right now, we're checking. They're gonna let us know if there will be a rematch or not. We'll find out. They said we'll find out this week.
It's not something that's foreign to you. You've been that road underdog before. What is important to keep in mind when you're entering that situation with all the people booing you, with everything stacked against you?
I mean, you just gotta go in there and just focus on the fight, and I mean, no distractions. I mean, I'm already used to going in there being the underdog, so and I know I could beat the guy, so I just go in there, just focus, and just go in there and do my job.
What did you feel was important in this fight in doing the great work that you did?
Um, well, it was important to just not leave it up to the judges, because that's what happens. They give you a draw, they rob it from you. So just to train hard and just to put on a good show.
What were you happy with? Like, what parts of the fight were you happy with how you performed? Was it your jab? Was it your inside work? What part were you really happy about?
I made a miss a lot, so I mean I could have done a little better, but I mean my movement was pretty good, so I was happy with avoiding a lot of the shots because I would see him, he came with everything, they were with power, and I would just see him go by. So I mean I was pretty happy with that.
And we know for you, you're a guy that isn't afraid to get in the fire. You're welcoming going punch for punch. So how much was that a focus of yours to make people miss and not just to exchange?
It was good. It was something different, because I mean, like you said, that is my thing. I like. We did practice the movie more, but I mean, I like to stay in there, which I did, but I was using my head movement. So, I mean, it felt good. Something different.
The last 3 fights didn't work out the way you wanted. What did you do differently in this camp, in this fight, to now be able to put on a performance that is much more indicative of who you are?
Well, I mean, the training, everything has been pretty much just the sparring. I got some new sparring. I switched up a little things within the training camp, but I mean, everything is pretty much the same. Just gotta focus and train hard. I mean, because all the fighters I'm fighting, they're all tough, and I mean, going in there, I just gotta be mentally prepared and everything as well. And I mean, going in there, I had my dad and my mom over there in the corner, so I mean, and they tell me exactly what to do. So I mean, that helps out.
It's about, I'd say, 9 guys in a row that you've taken on where it's been these out of town, top prospect, huge circumstances where all the chips are stacked against you. How do these opportunities kind of test you?
I mean, because I mean, they're prospects. They wanting them to take to the next level. But I mean, I know I belong in there with them. So me beating those guys gave me opportunity. So I trained hard so I could be that. So I could beat those guys. I could be the one. Well, pretty much to run their plans and take over what they want to do for them.
Jose Luis Sanchez. We can't see him. We can hear him. We definitely see what he's doing, and we hear the impact that he's making in the boxing world. We're going to get him on video here soon. I wanted to get a couple minutes to be able to talk to Jose Luis, because when you see the comments, we all understand it. A top prospect. He was supposed to get the victory. You were supposed to be a stepping stone. You go to his house, and to earn a draw means that you probably won the fight. So do you walk away? Do you come back off the plane feeling like a victorious fighter?
I did. I mean, a lot of people out there told me you won the fight, but I mean, I knew since the get-go, going out there, going fighting him in his hometown, I knew if it's close or if I beat him, I knew I was gonna get robbed. But I mean, I felt like I did enough to actually get the win. But I knew, I mean, stuff like that. I mean, especially me being the underdog, and I mean, I did. Because I checked out on the DraftKings, I was pretty much because I put some money on myself to beat this guy. It was a draw, so I got my money back, but it was a good amount that they were paying for because of underdog I was.
Do you see that? Do you read disrespect into it, or is it almost like excite you?
No. I mean, I'm like, cause I know I could beat these guys, and they put I mean, for me, I'm like, I mean, I could put some money on because I believe on myself to beat this guy. So put some money on myself and just get I guess, bigger check once I cash out that one too.
You think you're getting the rematch?
I'll find out this week, but I don't know. It's a 50. I'm not too sure. I think I'm thinking yes, but at the same time it's like I'm 50-50.
Jose Luis Sanchez, thank you for the time, man. You have a good night, and we'll put you on camera here very soon.
All right, you got it, man. Thank you.
Thank you, Jose Luis, for coming on my fight show. Thank you, Jose Luis, for coming on my fight show. Wedo Sanchez, belovedly known, 3-fight skid, comes back with the best performance he's had in years, earns a draw, majority decision, split decision, should have been his decision. You know what a draw means when you're that on the road fighter against an unbeaten prospect. Hell of a performance from Wedo Sanchez. Always a warrior every time he signs on the dotted line, whether it's a Xander Zayas or not. Still got one more guest coming up. Eventually, we will have Taylor Starling back on the show. I believe that any second now, Christopher DeSantiago is going to join us, and I'm going to bombard him with a whole bunch of MMA questions that are really impromptu, because I was kind of planning to ask him to come on next week. And Ronda Rousey, Gina Carano, it's a topic for us to talk about right now. So why not bring him on? So, like, as soon as he's ready, we're going to get to that conversation and stretch out across the MMA realm, probably bring up some bare knuckle MMA. He's also done like I've done and covered BKFC live before. So, yeah, I think we're going to have a worldly combat sports conversation, unfortunately, is what I'm threatening him with. And I believe he can hear me say that. So, Chris, if you're ready, gives me a thumbs up and we'll bring you on in. Looks like, oh, okay, there he is. 2 thumbs up. Let's bring him in.
Hey, Mike,
sir,
how's it going today, man? Pretty good, pretty good. Thanks for inviting me on, man. I really appreciate your time.
Okay, now we can hear him. Christy Santiago, appreciate you coming on. And let's let the people know all the plethora of places where they can find your work.
Awesome, man. Well, first of all, my name's Christopher de Santiago. I'm the founder of MMA Islands. I do social media management for Full Violence. They're one of the hottest, clothing brands on the market today. But yeah, Micah, it's good to be here, man. Thanks for inviting me on.
And in the past, I know that you wrote for Sports Illustrated, MMA, not to mention Bloody Elbow. And which ones am I missing?
Yeah, so Bloody Elbow, Sports Illustrated. I did MiddleEasy.com for a while. I did like 12 or so UFC events for them alongside yourself, man. But yeah, it's good to be here.
Right. You've been all over the combat sports landscape. And now you said you have a new job?
So right now I'm doing social media for Full Violence. Like they work with fighters and stuff like that. But I'm kind of like behind the scenes, making questions and like the social media content for them.
All right. So still involved, but not full blown media job at this point.
Oh yeah. Right now I'm just kind of shopping around, but yeah, right now it's Full Violence just kind of has my full focus at this time, along with MMA Islands. But obviously MMA Islands is my company, so I kind of just run everything for that. Yeah.
And much like myself here at Cage Minds, you just did something all on your own. MMA Islands, when did you create that? How did you create that? Where did the idea come from for your tagline, the new wave of MMA media?
Yeah, so back in 2019, I was 17 years old. I think the summer of 2019, I was just a big MMA fan. I've been a big MMA fan since I was like 9 years old. But back when I was like 17, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna rebrand this. I had like a UFC fan page at the time, and I needed like a idea for like a brand. Like I wanted to put my own spin on it, so I went with MMA Hounds. Went pretty good during the pandemic. I gained a lot of followers, and then obviously I met a lot of journalists and fighters. Drew this, and yeah, it's been fun.
A lot of fun, and now into some other stuff, but we still want to hear about your thoughts, because I know you've been around some of the biggest fights like I have, and you're a longtime fan of the sport. How does it hit you hearing this morning the news, Gina Carano, Ronda Rousey? We're not dreaming. This is something that's actually going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's a blast from the past. So what can you say? Like Ronda Rousey, like I feel like Ronda Rousey and Gina Carano were in headlines earlier this year, but nobody really saw this coming. But we've as like old heads, and people who like to think about fights that could have happened but never happened. This is one of those fights, and seeing it today, I was on my way to Dallas. I had a job interview today, and I accompanied him, and then. But seeing that headline is like, wow, like what is this, like 2006, 2007, like what's going on here? But yeah, man, I mean, Netflix, I was very surprised to see that this was MMA, because Netflix hasn't dabbled into MMA before. So very interesting stuff here.
Netflix hasn't dabbled into it. MVP Promotions hadn't dabbled with it. And it kind of felt like Jake Paul had backed away from MMA. He did have some business efforts with PFL, and those had dissolved without a lot of effort from him. So it was quite surprising, I think, to see a lot of those elements come together. Not to mention, if people haven't heard yet, it is a 145-pound fight, also, to let people know. So there's a couple things that were surprising with this announcement. Intuit Dome, California. At least that makes sense because they're both Californians, but a lot of other things that were surprising.
Yeah, and like I think one of the most surprising things for me was that it was 5 rounds, 5x5. I mean, that's a championship fight right there. But obviously it's not. But and Gina's like 43, Ronda's 39. I mean, that's kind of a main event fight. I didn't think they would put 5 rounds because they've been gone for like a combined like close to 30 years, I would say.
It's a decade for Ronda, and it's 17. So yeah, 27 combined years, 17 years for Gina being gone. I am taken aback too by 5-minute rounds, because I feel like the betting money is we're not getting a round and a half. I think 5 minutes could solve what we're going to have here. We're going to see an arm bar or someone get smashed quite quickly.
Most definitely. I think when the odds makers look at this fight, they got to be thinking it ends in 1.5 rounds, something like that. Because with Ronda, I think the only person who went past the first round of Ronda was Miesha Tate, and that was in their rematch. And I feel like with the way that Gina fights too, I feel like it's going to be end round 1, round 2. I don't think it goes all 5 rounds, but who knows? This fight has a lot of question marks around it.
I think once they're in each other's face, once they're slinging words on a media tour, that by the time we get to the fight, 5 minutes is all they're going to need, probably 3. You're either going to get into boxing range real quick and see Gina's Muay Thai, or Ronda's going to get a hold of her and we're going to see a judo toss, and then it'll be into her world.
Yeah. It's a very interesting
long
fight.
chess match.
Mm-hmm. And like, I'm very interested to see how it kind of affects the MMA landscape, because outside of the UFC, there's not that much players that are doing really big stuff right now. One Championship's kind of taking it back when it comes to MMA. PFL is doing their own thing, and then obviously Bellator is dead. So like, it kind of opens the door for maybe other UFC legends, like maybe Anderson Silva, or maybe like a Nate Diaz. Maybe they'll get an offer to fight on their card, perhaps.
That does bring up a lot of the questions. There has been that speculation. How open is Francis Ngannou? Is there a possibility of Nate Diaz, where the UFC doesn't seem to be so receptive? If you can get a name like that, if Chris Cyborg all of a sudden becomes available from the PFL and able to stack a bunch of these free agent names, this would kind of be the same MO that you saw with Jake Paul, using notable fighters and then capitalizing on that with his persona on top. In boxing, this would be using the 2 biggest free agents that they could find to do the same thing in MMA. But do you think those names, is that enough to make a mega event, to be a needle mover?
It's going to be interesting because, this is kind of the first of its kind, MMA on Netflix. With Gina and Ronda, I feel like they are 2 of the biggest female, MMA stars, obviously. And then they've been in the movies. They have that Hollywood traction. Gina Carano was in headlines for a lot of wrong reasons back in 2021 with the Disney lawsuit and stuff like that. And this is her opportunity to really, I guess, maybe get back into the mainstream and really push an envelope for this fight. And it's going to be hard to see how Netflix MMA moves forward with this, but I feel like if they could bring in it, I feel like it all depends on how much views that they're able to bring in, because I don't know though, because I saw somebody's tweet where it's like Ronda versus Gina could have more views than any other UFC event that they've done in the past. That's just with this model. So I think it's all going to be about how the views come in and how much seats that they sell come fight night.
Tyson Paul did outrageous amount of views. Oh yeah, Mayweather Tyson got announced also today. I just don't know how that one is viewable, so I'll wait to judge how that one's going to do until we know if it's a pay-per-view or not. But you have Netflix. It's already free. You have massive personalities. My biggest question, though, becomes they're not as beloved as they once were. Ronda Thunder knows that pro wrestling walking away from it in a lot of ways, isn't happy about MMA fans, and then talked about CTE quite a bit before this return. And Gina Carano, you said it. If The Mandalorian was just the end of the story, but the reason why she's not on the show is also very prevalent. I'm pretty sure we've seen the tenure of MMA fans. They don't care about any of that. So I think we're safe, but they don't have the best publicity heading into this.
For sure, for sure. I kind of like to see them as like not just fighters, but kind of just actresses as well as, and you know, they dabbled into other things like you said, WWE, and obviously all of the movies that they did. I think Gina was in Deadpool. It's going to be interesting how the new fans react to it, because I feel like there's a lot of fans who haven't had the chance to watch either of them fight. I mean, Ronda's last fight was in 2016. That was only like 48 seconds. So think about everybody who became fans after that. And to see Ronda fight for the first time, or to see Gina throw on the gloves for the first time, it's going to be interesting to see how the reception is around this fight. I mean, for me personally, it's not as exciting knowing that, you know, they're coming out of retirement and they're older and stuff like that. But I mean, it should be somewhat fun, I think.
One of the very first questions where I noticed that you asked at one of the media events we were at was to Israel Adesanya, and you asked him about if he could play, I think, like a superhero in a movie, which one it would be. So I could see you were into the characters. So one of the bigger characters who's more outspoken in the last couple of days has been Michael Venom Page. Are you surprised, like I'm surprised, and he's surprised about his situation on the card and the matchmaking that he's getting?
Yeah, so like funny thing is, I talked to Sam Patterson before this fight got announced, and you know, like I was talking to Sam. I was expecting maybe like a top 15 guy for Sam because he's on a 4-fight win streak. But to give him Michael Venom Page, I mean, Venom Page just beat a perennial contender in Jared Cannonier up a weight class. Sam Patterson isn't in the rankings, but I think Sam Patterson should get somebody in the rankings. So to give him Michael Venom Page, somebody who's not in the rankings at his weight class, I don't think this fight really does him any favors. So, I mean, you know, obviously you beat Michael Venom Page, you know, that's a big win. But for Michael Venom Page, you beat Sam Patterson. I mean, where does that put you? He should be fighting a top 10 contender at either middleweight or welterweight. I think that's how it should be for MVP.
It's hard to argue with that. His only loss is Ian Gary. You beat Bullet. You beat Cannonier. He said he didn't actually want to be at 85. He wanted to go back to 70. I enjoy Patterson. It was a big, actually, upset, I think, in his last fight where he took this step up and separated himself from the other prospect when it was him and Trey Waters, because I thought Waters had a lot of potential. He gets this knockout victory, and I don't want to hate on Patterson. It's just MVP is 38 years old. There's this almost imagination to say, I want to see him in some kind of dream fights or fights of consequence versus you're defending your ranking after beating Cannonier, and that feels like that should have catapulted him to like, we should be seeing like Whitaker versus MVP.
Right. And I feel like with the trajectory of MVP's career, I mean, his only, like you said, his only loss is to Ian Gary, and he lost that fight by a hair, mind you. Like, he was so close to winning that fight, and it all came down to a round and how people scored that. So I feel like his trajectory should be top 5 and then maybe a shot at the title. But obviously those divisions are kind of weird and wonky with how they give title shots now. But yeah, I mean, them going unranked for MVP, I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. But neither does the UFC matchmaking this year. I mean, we've seen all kinds of fights get made. Like I'm trying to think of. I feel like there's a fight a few weeks ago that got made that didn't make any sense. It was Moreno and Kavanaugh. That fight doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
It really felt like when Charles Johnson was jumping up and down saying, I want that fight. We're all like, he's been there long enough. You could talk yourself into it. But when you saw Kavanaugh, we're not trying to hate on the young man. It's just, you just lost to Johnson, and Johnson wants this fight. It felt like it was simple enough, but I guess there is a dramaticness to Loner Kavanaugh picks up the biggest victory of his career, or Brendan Moreno should look impressive and holding off a young guard if this kid really isn't ready for the moment.
Yeah, I mean, the matchmaking has been all over the place. Like, I think even when they put Urseg with Moreno, Urseg was on like back-to-back losses, and like that fight didn't make any sense to me whatsoever, to me either. So I don't know. The matchmaking, I feel like nowadays, I don't think they really think about who's the best in the world. I think it's more about who's the most exciting, who can put the most butts in seats when it comes to UFC nowadays.
And because I have you on, and it's official, like UFC rule by now, we can't do a segment without bringing up the White House. Everyone has to do it to keep our credentials in good standing. Ilia Topuria, Justin Gaethje, that's what all signs are pointing. Do you feel like that is the right fight?
Yeah, I think that's the right fight. When it comes to like Americans and being like American, I feel like we're putting a lot of eggs in one basket when it comes to Justin Gaethje headlining the card, because I feel like it's kind of like there's a lot of pressure on him, because if he does headline that card, I mean, he would be the only American champion. I guess you would call him a champion since he has the interim title. But going up against Ilia, I mean, that's like slaying a dragon. You want to go fight Ilia Topuria at the White House? Justin's going to have a lot riding on that for that one. And I think it's a really good main event. Don't get me wrong, but it's a very hard fight for Justin. But I think with Justin's Gaethje's leg kicks, he could make an interesting fight, because Ilia is a boxer. And, you know, you take away the lead leg, you take away the legs from under the boxer, you could have a good night. But yeah, I think it's a great fight to have headline the White House.
There are 3 lightweight champions, and 2 of them are American, because we do glorify the BMF title. Max Holloway coming up here in a couple weeks. Topuria, Gaethje is interesting, and with Topuria, it's hard to say outside of McGregor and Jones, and I'm hard pressed to count them because of their inactivity, and it feels like impending retirements. Ilia Topuria, Islam Makhachev, those are really our 2 biggest stars. So to give Gaethje, a beloved American, a last action hero, someone that I would argue is the most exciting fighter in UFC history, this opportunity, I'm hard pressed outside of a Jones or a Connor to think what would be more deserving in this spot with so much speculation have happened.
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing too, because I mean, you throw Connor's name in there, and Connor's going to sell more than anybody, you know, and it's a tough spot to be in too, because Connor's just such a big star, but he's at the stage of his career where he's not fighting for titles. He's not, you know, he's not in this position that Ilia Topuria is in, where he's defending a title, and you know, all the world's eyes are on him. I mean, it would be tough to kind of play. It's tough to have the card and to with Ilia and to Justin and Connor, because you want to have Connor on there, but I don't know where he fits. If you're going to have a title on the line between Ilia and Justin, maybe you get what I'm saying, right? Like, where do you put Connor in all this?
Does Connor take a back seat to anybody, is what you're trying to say?
Yeah, exactly. And like, it's hard to picture Connor co-headlining or not being the main event. But I don't know. Yeah, it's a very interesting topic.
Because you and me both, the last time we've each seen Conor McGregor or been within his presence, it's been in the BKFC setting. I believe you were there last year at Knucklemania in Philly.
Yeah, the energy was incredible. Conor, I was right there at the weigh-ins when Conor McGregor was on stage, and it was so surreal just being like close to him. Like, and then like months later, I got the interview. But yeah, you know, Conor does a great job hyping up those events. It's a really good atmosphere at BKFC.
So I believe you were there live. Mike Perry versus Eddie Alvarez.
Yes, yeah, that was a great fight.
Is there any need to run that one back? Because I'm not sure if you've kept up now as much, but at Knucklemania 6, we did have an altercation in the crowd between Eddie and Mike. And well, I feel like it's a tremendously bad idea. If any two people are skirmishing in a crowd by now, I just think they're angling to fight each other in the ring.
Yeah. So like I've asked around about that. Like I've talked to David Feldman in the lead up to the last event in Philly, and he said that Eddie's not really gonna. He didn't tell me straight up that Eddie was retired, but it looks like Eddie won't be fighting for them any longer. It doesn't look like Eddie's. I think Eddie's right now is focused on his fighters, and they have a great team over at Underground Kings that they're kind of building the next generation of fighters. From what I've heard, I don't think Eddie's coming back anytime soon, but we'll never know. You know, those fighters, they like to scratch the itch.
Mike Perry, to me, is the most confounding piece of the puzzle for BKFC because he is the face of BKFC. He's their biggest star at this point. But fighting Eddie Alvarez, fighting Jeremy Stevens, well, it's a certain level of notoriety and a very respectable level of competition. They are much smaller individuals, and I don't think we could beg him into fighting Dave Mundell or Lorenzo Hunt at this point.
Yeah, with Mike Perry, well, I think the David Mundell fight, now that he got like knocked out, I feel like that fight's no longer going to happen. I feel like there's no interest in seeing Mundell and Perry. Perry versus Hunt sounds interesting, but I don't know what the weight class would be. Lorenzo's one of the bigger faces of BKFC too. He could do so many things after his latest win. It's kind of hard to match make Perry now because I don't think Eddie Alvarez rematch. I don't think that really makes sense. Although that they did just get into a brawl and stuff, but I think Eddie's kind of done. I don't really know what other options there are for Perry though.
And that's where it becomes the weird part. The Mundell fight, it felt like since the Fighter Summit seemed to be on the precipice, didn't come together. Mundell takes the short notice opportunity. It goes horrendous for him. Hunt is the champion at 85. We did see Perry beat Rockhold and knock his teeth in at 85. That's why I wonder if it happens. But so far, if you're following Lorenzo, his attempts at drawing Perry's ire, they haven't registered to where Perry is still on his social media talking about Eddie, which we know isn't even really a starting point of a fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Feldman recently teased that Perry, like they have a very marquee opponent for Perry lined up, like somebody that they've like bigger than anybody that Perry has ever faced. I don't know who that could be, but I'm very excited. I want, honestly, like one of my dream fights to see is Perry versus Darren Till. But with Till boxing, who knows if he'll ever come to BKFC? Who knows if they'll ever put the money up to make that the case?
Do you think that could be the name? Do you think that would be a big enough one that would be outside of the pool? Because that's one, like you said, they've had enough flirtations back and forth throughout the years that it might draw some interest.
Yeah. From the way that David was talking about, I think it's going to be something like out of left field. I don't think it's going to be. I think it's going to be something that we don't see coming, like Ronda versus Gina. I think it's just going to be a name that nobody saw coming. But when it comes to finding that name, I honestly don't know what to tell you when it comes to matching up Mike Perry.
Totally out of left field, people, and I have no indication of this. Maybe it ends up being like a Charlo brother, like a former Canelo opponent that has a lot of name recognition within the boxing community.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it feels like bare knuckle community not really grabbing the interest of Mike Perry, and I don't know how much further we're going to go into the MMA community. I mean, the Donald Cerrone ordeal was supposed to already happen once. I don't think they revisit it. But is bare knuckle something that you covered it? You were there in person. Was it enough to keep you interested?
Yeah, so like I really like their products. When it comes to fights, I mean, it doesn't get much better. Or like I feel like BKFC and bare knuckle boxing is like they're kind of the rawest form of fighting, where no gloves, just just going mano a mano. I love it. I unfortunately missed Knucklemania earlier this month. I was able to get there. But yeah, man, I love the violence that bare knuckle has, and their roster is pretty good, man. A lot of ex UFC veterans and some homegrown fighters that are doing great. Kai Stewart's the champion right now at featherweight, homegrown BKFC, is defending his title. A lot of great names among the promotion. John Dodson, flyweight champion too. I mean, I think BKFC has a very bright future.
Nico Gaffey versus Kai Stewart. That one happening when the BKFC returns to Hollywood. Gaffey came in, beat Brendan Allen, secures the European title, flipped the division on its head. I kind of thought Edgar Palazzolo with the 6-0 mark was going to get the opportunity to fight Kai, but they went in a different direction. Think Edgar's got to be next up. And you bring up my buddy John. I know you've had the opportunity to talk to him before, and we got to get the flyweight division sorted out. John Dodson has been on the sideline as a healthy scratch for way too long. And hopefully the Andrew Stowe, G. Perez, John Dodson trifecta, we can get this all sorted out to have a unified and one flyweight champion, because he's ready to fight.
Yeah. I mean, he's very emphatic about wanting to fight again, getting a date. Hopefully BKFC could book him soon. And it is kind of weird, too, because there's some controversy with the Andrew Strode and the G Press kind of fight because of the cut on the ear, I believe. So, I don't know if they run that back, but I don't know. I kind of want to see Andrew Strode fight and fight John Dodson for the unified title for sure.
BKFC is exciting. UFC is exciting. What is the number one UFC fight that you want to see this year? You get to match make. What would you be most excited for?
I think Ilya Taporia versus Islam Makhachev I want to say, man, I wish if I could get it my own way, I would have them fight at 165 just to make it a little interesting. But I know that they would never do that. But honestly, at 155 or 170, either weight class is fine by me. I just want to see them fight.
At this point, I'm still holding out hope that we see Alex Pereira at heavyweight in some form or fashion because of the way that he has dominated light heavyweight. I want to see him with a new challenge.
You want to see him fight John Jones or somebody else?
It could be John Jones. It could be Waldo Cortez Acosta. It could be Volkov at this point, because I'm hesitant to say that the John Jones thing will ever happen. He was pretty emphatic about, I'm coming back for the White House. The UFC is playing hardball. John all of a sudden has arthritis in his hip. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't get John Jones back. So that's where I have to kind of level the expectations down for Alex. And there's also this real problem with me getting around wanting to give Cyril Gahn a huge fight while Tom Aspinall is still at home halfway blind.
Yeah, I mean, the heavyweight division is a mess right now. I mean, I've heard people talk about just cutting it and getting rid of it altogether. And that Aspinall situation does not help. And then Waldo as well, he's right there. He's very hungry. I feel like you should give that guy an interim title shot or a shot at the title once this whole thing of Aspinall clears up. But yeah, I mean, it's a pretty crazy division. Not much happening right now, but who knows what it looks like in a year from now.
Second time I'm going to say this today, did it on another podcast. We are this close to Waldo Cortez Acosta versus Alexander Volkov for a vacant title fight, people. And I don't know if that helps generate interest, but meritocracy wise, it kind of feels like the most appropriate thing to do if you don't move up Alex.
Mm-hmm. And the heavyweight division is bad when you hear people talking about oh, maybe Cain Velasquez should come back in and wreck some people. It's funny that people are already mentioning Cain fighting in the division days after his release.
Welcome home, Cain. He doesn't need a fight. He can just go back to training fighters. We don't need to cut the heavyweight division. Heavyweight, we've seen it with boxing. There's these ebbs and flows, and this is just the first ebb for the heavyweight division in MMA because we've had a pretty good run historically.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think too, for 3 straight years, it was 3 straight years of just Stipe fighting DC other than the one Derek Lewis fight, but they fought each other just back and forth with nobody else getting the shot.
And none of us thought at that point we'd refer to those to the glory days of the heavyweight division.
Right.
Heavyweight division. That's probably not the best and brightest point to leave this, but I've been live for 2 hours and I asked Christopher to just jump on here at the last moment. I appreciate you for doing it tonight, sir.
Thanks for the time, man. I love your setup too. So many great posters. You got LFA. You got Champion Mayor Scott back when he was fighting, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I
Nice.
got a bunch of random ones from LFA, Combate America, a couple local promotions that we're here. Very old Bellator. I think I even got XFC back here. RFA.
Nice, man.
Oh yeah, been doing this a while.
Well, Micah, you do a great job as always, man. And thanks again for the time, man. I had a blast.
Cool. Thank you. And you have a good night.
You too. Thanks, man.
MMA Islands. Go check out the social media. A lot of breaking news on fight announcements covering the UFC, the PFL. We didn't even get into the mess that the PFL is and what they're going through. Pro wrestling world is freaking awesome right now and on fire with AEW, with NWA, with what happened at Grand Slam, with the road to WrestleMania and Elimination Chamber. And don't forget, Duke City Championship Wrestling, March 28th. Get it, got it. Bueno, the next installment where you can see the stars of tomorrow perfecting the craft today, not to mention the local MMA scene going to be on fire, nowhere to run. March 14th, the weekend before our crazy doubleheader, March 21st, March 22nd, Fight World MMA 43, APFC 22 with the championship doubleheader, a weekend to breathe, and then April 4th, Legacy Boxing Promotions, Josh Pitbull Torres, Christian Cabral, Abraham the Hammer Pettis. You get boxing locally to top it all off. Huge stuff happening from BKFC, UFC, all of it covered at cageminds.com. Thank you again to the guest, Jimmy Dukes, helping us go through the Southwest fight scene and the growth and flourishment that we're seeing it have right now is tremendous to see all this local activity. A shout out to Jose Luis Sanchez, even though the signal was awful. Truly enjoyed the opportunity to get to talk to Emilio Marquez, first time top prospect coming out of the Las Cruces area, training in El Paso, XKO, March 29th, the pro debut. And again, Christopher De Santiago coming on and talking all about the world of combat sports from the perspective of a fellow media member, diving into the bare knuckle world, stealing some of the stuff that I was going to have with Taylor Starling when one day I finally will get to have her in. If you're not doing it, please do so. Like, share, subscribe to the video. Appreciate all the views, all the hearts. Means more than you guys know. Cage Minds, Combat Sports News, YouTube and Facebook, Cage Minds _CSN on X, TikTok, Threads, Instagram, all that great social media. Robbie Ray Images and Robbie Ray Media. Help hit them up if you need headshots done, you need promotion done, you need commercials, because we need your commercials right here and promote on this platform where some of this is also now heading to Comcast. Thank you to Talk ABQ. Get on over to Barber Gabe's Fades to get your look done and to make it a knockout. The beard is submitted and in place thanks to Barbers R Us. And you even heard Jimmy Dukes uses it and is a active advocate of the product. You get them both at barbergabesfades.net. I've been live for 2 hours. You've been a great audience. Appreciate everyone joining me. Don't forget ESPN Radio, Albuquerque 1017, The Team. Saturday morning, we're going to have Ben Wilson on. We're talking New Mexico boxing history and some of the names that are thriving in the local scene. So we're doing it local. We're doing it global. CageMinds.com and everyone else. Have a great night.